check out this classic. Look familiar? Probably not, since this movie was never properly released in the West. This is Digimon X Evolution, a CG Digimon movie from 2005 that depicts the end of the digital world as we know it and the beginning of a brand new one. This story has been adapted multiple times across different media, including video games and manga. It concerns the X-Antibody, which was just released in Bt-9 X record of the Digimon TCG. So, what is the X-Antibody? Well, first you need to learn a bit about what was happening right before the beginning of the movie. Yggdrasil, or King Drasil if you follow the dub.
So this is where King Drasil lives, huh?
AKA the god of the digital world, decided to purge the world with the X program and the X virus. It infected 98% of Digimon with the virus and took the remaining Digimon to a new world. Now, some of the Digimon infected with the virus didn't die, but instead developed the X-Antibody, which protected them from the virus and enabled them to transform into new, more powerful versions of themselves. These X variants were able to travel into the new world themselves even though they weren't chosen to survive. The existence of these X variants caused conflict with non-carriers. During the purge, Digimon sought out the X-Antibody for survival, and afterwards, they blamed the X-Antibody carriers for the purge happening at all. And then comes our protagonist, Dorumon. Dorumon is a purple beast-like Digimon with a large red crystal on top of its head. Dorumon isn't an X version of any other Digimon. It just natively has the X-Antibody and ends up in the new world. Without spoiling the movie, Dorumon is tied to the X-Antibody in a way that no other Digimon is, and its decisions will ultimately lead to the new digital world, but we'll talk more about that later. If you've been following the Digimon TCG, then you may be a bit familiar with the X-Antibody as a trait in-game. The only Digimon who had it were black Digimon like Dorumon, Ryudamon, and their subsequent evolutions. But in Bt-9 X record, the X-Antibody is going around and there are X variants of many fan-favorite Digimon across every color. The card that enables this is, of course, the X-Antibody itself, which on attack lets you digivolve any Digimon into a Digimon with the X-Antibody trait. So you can digivolve into X-Antibody carrying Digimon from normal non-carrying Digimon. But not every Digimon needs the X-Antibody option card to digivolve into X variants. Digimon like Agumon, Gabumon, Guilmon, and Leomon all have X variants that you can digivolve into for free. Going a step further, Agumon and Gabumon have full X variant Digivolution lines that get stronger by having the X-Antibody option or normal versions of themselves in their Digivolution source. Their final forms are WarGreymon X and MetalGarurumon X, who are basically Digimon Gundam hybrids. These absolute units are stronger than their previous forms and can decimate an opponent's board. Fun fact, MetalGarurumon X gains Blocker on Digivolve, which is inspired by how it puts its body on the line to protect Dorumon from Omnimon's onslaught. And yes, that's a flashback of Leomon dying. Sorry Leomon X fans, but he doesn't make it to the end. And yes, you heard that right. For much of the X Evolution movie, Omnimon is going on a full killing spree, trying to eliminate the remaining Digimon and my childhood. Speaking of Royal Knights, many of them now have X variants as well. Omnimon X was released in Bt-5, but this set releases Gallantmon X and Magnamon X as well, both of which significantly power up their respective strategies. Gallantmon X further abuses your opponent's security stack by shedding their security for free, and Magnamon X can force Digimon to attack it without even having the blocker ability. This set also releases the most powerful form of the leader of the Royal Knights, Alpha Ouryuken Mode. Alphamon natively has the X-Antibody unlike the rest of the Royal Knights because, spoiler alert, it's one of the possible megaforms of Dorumon. In the Digimon Chronicle mini-comic, the source for the X Evolution movie, Dorumon is the partner of Koto Demoto, and it undergoes a completely different evolution line than we see in the movie. In X Evolution, Dorumon digivolves from Dorumon to Dorugamon to Dorugreymon, and then Alphamon, while revealing it could also become Dorugorumon. But in the Chronicle story, we see it become Raptordramon, Grademon, and then Alphamon. Chronicles is important because it also reveals the lore behind Ouryuken Mode. In Chronicles, Kota travels the digital world with his friend Yuji Musia and Yuji's partner Ryutamon. Ryutamon, like Dorumon, is a natural X-Antibody carrier. And when it's defeated in battle as its megaform Ouryumon, it becomes Alphamon's sword, allowing them to unlock a level of power never seen before. The new Alphamon from Bt-9 lets us create the most powerful Alphamon by adding cards with the X-Antibody trait from your trash to its Digivolution source. This is huge because Ouryuken Mode can Digivolve for reduced cost if your Alphamon has Ouryumon in its source. And like we already said, Ouryumon has the X-Antibody trait. Ouryuken Mode is a huge level 7 Digimon that can delete even the strongest Digimon out there, and it can refund enough memory where you don't have to pass your turn Digivolving into him. If these cards aren't enough to catch your attention, then I don't know what to tell you. Well, except that you can build decks around cards like MetalGarurumon X, who weakens your opponent's security and then uses your security for extra attacks. GradisKuwagamon, who uses the power of Death X evolution to control undead Digimon. GradisKuwagamon, another X-Antibody carrier, who decimates opponents by setting up OTKs, or one-turn kills. Gaiomon, an X-Antibody carrying variant of Black War Greymon, who turns the already battle-hungry beast into a peerless warrior. All of these Digimon and more are featured in X-Antibody works like Digimon Chronicle, Digimon Chronicle X, and Digimon D-Cyber. Bt-9 brings many amazing X-Antibody Digimon and new strategies, but it also has brand new cards inspired by the Digimon Adventure Tri series. Maybe that'll be my next video. But guys, let me know if any of these X-Antibody Digimon caught your eye or any decks you want to build with them. Let me know if you'd be interested in me covering Digimon Adventure Tri, the cards that we have for it, and how that relates to their effects. But for now,
everything will be okay, I promise.
pass turn.